Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. This is my first video on my new channel, PapiVodka Speaks. Yeah, I want to show my face because it's my first video and we're talking about a Native American issue. And yeah, if you were expecting some Native beauty, I am that, even though I'm a man, okay? So control those boners. Okay, next. Today we're gonna talk about an issue that, I created this channel because I really want to focus the channel on my political views and things that I speak in my regular channel will be just based on beauty, challenges, and all that type of stuff, my mental health. So we separated things a little bit, and a lot of people just subscribe to me, for my opinions, how I break things down, news, and all of that. But if you're new, thank you for watching, and just subscribe if you want some political stuff. If you want to watch beauty things, subscribe to my regular channel. But now let's get into the issue. Today we're gonna talk about the Redskins. Washington's just decided to finally, okay, we'll get into that, change their name. And I see a lot of people online were saying, oh, it's the media and the liberals. What about the natives? The natives are being raised. What the natives think? You're not native. Okay, so now you click this video because obviously I assumed you want to hear a native perspective. Okay, before you start watching this video, I'm gonna break this down. But if you have this opinion that changing the name is just like not good and you don't want to hear my opinion no matter what I gotta say as a Indigenous, Native / Indian, we'll talk about that, please leave because I'm gonna give my opinion. But if you want to hear my opinion and hear what I gotta say, no matter what is your political view, whether you're conservative, liberal, you want to hear what one person has to say about this issue, then keep on watching. So how I do on my podcast, generally when I talk about political stuff, I do it on a podcast, but today I'm doing a video, so I apologize, I'm a little bit sloppy, okay? So let's begin with my first receipt. So today morning, the internet broke, the internet was added after the Redskins dropped this statement. So the statement reads, statement from the Washington Redskins football team. It says, on July 3rd, we announced the commencement of a thorough review of the team's name. That review has begun in earnest. As part of this process, we want to keep our sponsors, fans, and community apprised of our thinking as we go forward. Today, we are announcing we will retire the Redskins name and logo upon completion of this review. Dan Snyder and Couch Rivera are working closely to develop a new name and design approach that will enhance the standing of our proud tradition, rich franchise, and inspire our sponsors, fans, and community for the next 100 years. Okay, so that's the statement that went online. I don't know where the ways are, but that made it online. And everybody started talking about it because it's like a lot of people are saying this is cancel culture and this is PC culture, and like everybody was fine with it. And now because what's happening, what's the climate right now it's happening. So first of all, let's go back a little bit. So this is not something that just was popping up. Maybe now that people want some ally cookies, they just want to come and be an ally. Maybe that's the reason. So a lot of let's say when we talk about black issues or native issues, a lot not any other race will come and support us because they will come and they think this is new. But actually a lot of native people been talking about that name, okay, decades ago, before we get into the 2000s, before I was even born, people were like talking about it. So this is not just something new that people were talking about. Like people were not okay with this name, and I'll get into that. So you know what, these videos are generally when I talk about politics I break things down, but this is one of those videos that I give more opinion than breaking things down. So let's go back a little bit. And I'm a little bit manic. For the ones that don't know, I'm bipolar, so you know, just stand with me. So first, we'll get into some opinions of Native Americans. I'll quote unquote on that. Okay, so at the beginning, you know, this Native woman, she said, even though Native Americans like my grandfather and myself actually like the name and see it as a tribute of our strength. And then, nothing, no shade to this woman, but this is her. And you know, this is something I don't like saying. I really don't like questioning somebody's nativeness, but you see a lot of white women, especially, okay, white men too, but generally white women. They have like a great grandfather that is native, but then the wife is white, the children are white, your parents are white, and then you're still native. And I'm fine with that. If you want to consider native and your practice our customs, but if you are not for native people and you're upset about this, maybe you don't get it, maybe it doesn't turn you race in, I still see you as a white woman, you know. And I really don't like questioning somebody's nativeness, but leave a comment down below how native you think this woman is. And I know in some tribes, you know, nativeness, sometimes you call Native American by the spirituality, but she say her grandfather, and she is too. So okay, next we have this other person. Like somebody said, depriving Native Americans of a chance to honor and preserve their culture is a good thing. Interesting. So this Native American said, exactly, I'm Native American and I do not like the idea of changing the name to a group of people who slaughter my race. How do you think that will make all of us feel? I'm guessing the tribes will band together to sue the NFL. And again, I don't want to question nobody's nativeness, but and there's a lot of these comments. And for example, there's a lot of people that say I'm native, but then you see and they just created this account today or yesterday and they have 2 tweets and they don't have anything on their profile that said they're native. They look like a meme account, and it looks, and I've seen a lot when it comes to conservatives. I say much about liberals, but conservatives, they create like pages on Twitter about people of color, and they say, oh, I'm Trump this and Trump that, and at the end it ended up being like, that's not actually who they are. They're just like black fishing, so people think people of color support Trump. And I'm not saying people of color don't support Trump and the right, because a lot of them do, but I see that's a thing that happens. And I'm sorry I become sweaty. I'm in Texas, y'all, and it's hot today, like hot. Okay, next. So first I wanted to address this. If you're biracial and you're like an 8 negative, and I'm sorry, but to these people I'm giving them an 8 maximum. You talk about this, about the race, that you raise your race, but then you go and marry a white man. And I'm not saying interracial things are wrong, but you're saying these words, like you're just making fun of it. Anti-ways. Okay, next. So before getting into my opinion, I just want to address some things. I'm sorry, generally I do this as a podcast, so when I edit it out, it doesn't look this messy, but now that I'm doing this on camera, it might look a little bit messy, so wait for me. Okay, before I get into my, opinion, what is a redskin? How it originated? I'm honestly not gonna come here and do history because I'm gonna do like basically a video about that. But long story short, how historically we see redskins is that when white people were having bounties to kill native people for money, that's when they started referring to us as redskin, because they were getting money to kill us, kidnap us. This is where it started. Okay. And when it comes to the Europeans back then, or the colonizers at the time, we were like the redskins. We were being killed, raped, I don't want to say that word, the R word and all of that. That's where it started. And I get, sometimes it's stick like, you're a redskin, but it's like some natives might have accepted it because it was acceptable to be racist. Even today is kind of acceptable, but back then, if today is kind of problematic, imagine back then nobody was caring about what's going on back then. It's kind of stick around, and it's like a lot of natives don't like that. They like, I personally don't like to be referred as that unless I'm called by other natives. So it's like, for me it's a slur, okay? Because if we go back where it originated from, the genocide that we went through, yeah, I don't like it. Maybe I'll give it a pass if you're native, but if you're not native, no, just I don't like that. So of course some natives have different opinions about it, but I don't like it, and a lot of natives don't like it. Next, before getting into my opinion, changing the name, what does it help about, and what about representation? Okay, let me get into my opinion about it. I was one of the natives or indigenous that were saying change the name. Why? Okay, every native will have their opinion why. A lot of them was saying because of his slur. The reason why I wanted it to change was not basically because of the war, because of at the time that we became the mascots, because that's what we are. Okay, so if you happen to make a mascot for a team, a school, anything, it's fine if you have a native mascot that like you make a native, but why a whole race should be your mascot? Because it's not like that you just created this man and like that happens to be native. No, when you put the name Redskins and you put like a native man, indigenous man in there, you're making the whole race a mascot. You know what I'm saying? Okay, let's say I want to make a mascot. Let's say it's a guy. Say like I'm imagining that wears makeup that happens to be native. That's just making that person the mascot. But putting Redskins is just making the whole race your mascot. And that's where the issue with me was. Like, why we all, the 70 million people that survived, that still living, like, the descendants of the genocide that happened in the Americas, have to be your mascot of a team. And at the beginning, because I'm not a sports type of guy, obviously I'm not. So the first time I heard about it, I was like, Redskins. So my first thought was that this team was native owned, because I was trying to put things together and like, okay, this team must be native owned, otherwise why would they name a whole race? I'm thinking like, okay, maybe I might create a brand, a football team, I might put some native heritage in it because I'm native and it's native owned. But it's not like I'm gonna go there and put like the white skins and just put the whole race of white people. Like, what do I have to do with that? Maybe if it's a black owned team, like a black team, but it's like, if it's not native owned, I was like, okay, I'm trying to put two and two together, okay, so bear with me. So then I was like, I was giving the side eye. I didn't want to make up my opinion yet, so I was like, okay, well, it's not native owned. So then my thought was, okay, maybe these people are really supporting native people and our issues and our struggles, and they're very vocal, or they donate tons of money to native people. But no, that was the only two ways I would be like, okay, I might be okay with it if it's native owned, or if they are donating and they are extremely vocal about the issues that we're going in the whole Americas, in America itself. Like when it comes to ICE and all of that, a lot of people like to say that, a lot of people think, oh, it's Mexicans, people are ICE, and yeah, a lot of people are Mexicans. But if you go to ICE and check the statistics, most of the people that are suffering right there are indigenous people that come from Central America, and the children that are below us are native children. This is one of the big issues we have. We have the missing, the kidnap on indigenous women that is happening here. I'm talking about America itself now. We have now with the COVID situation, the way that the Navajo Nation is suffering right now is just insane. And I'm like, these companies not vocal about these issues. Why? So you want to put us as mascots, but you don't talk about that, and you don't open the purse, right? So it's like we go through a lot of things right now. Poverty, like child pregnancy, because of the things that happen. And I'm talking about the whole Americas, not just here in the country. We go through all of this, and you're trying to put a mascot. The least I will think is like you'll be extremely vocal. You will talk about these issues. You will be anti-ICE. You will be, you know, you will pro us. But no, we're just mascots. We're just. And here's the thing: if they will be pro-native people, pro-native issues. That way, if there's a a racist that is against natives, there's a racist, they will not support the team. So that way I know when they wear the t-shirts, when they have the cups in their house, when they have these, when they're screaming Redskins or anything you want to scream, that way I will be like, okay, if they support our issues, we're avoiding the races that might have our faces in their t-shirts, their cups, to be in their house, because we're not mascots like that. But no, since they're not vocal, they're not getting the money, all the races that thinks about people of color, natives of different nationalities, they're gonna have our faces on their t-shirts, on their hats. And it's like, why would we want to be on those kind of things? You know what I'm saying? So that's what I say, okay, not native owned, they're not pro-native, like, supporting the things that we're going through. So I'm like, why would people be okay with this? And other people say cancel culture. If you see natives being against it, why support it? Like, why do we have to be your mascot? Because this is not like, as I said, a regular mascot. This is the whole race. When you put the Redskins and all of that, it's just like, you have these people that are, for example, the headpiece that this native man is wearing has a meaning. Not everybody could wear it. I'm not part of that tribe, so I don't understand well. That's why me as an A person, I will not even wear that, because I don't truly understand the meaning, because I'm not part of that native tribe. But you have all these, I'm not saying white, all these people, different races having this scarf, and they don't even know what that means. They don't even know where you're supposed to use that. You don't know the spirituality, like maybe what type of age. So it's like you're just wearing that logo, and it's like, if you don't understand the meaning, why put it on it? Why have it in your house? Why support it? So that's I'm coming into my opinion like that. And then I was on a person online saying, I'm not saying just remove us. We're not a mascot. Hold on, let me touch up my makeup, because I feel I'm getting greasy. Okay, I'm back. So that's my opinion on it. If it's not native owned, or you're pro-native, anti-racist, like this is the thing. I'm trying to, okay, me as a native, how will be okay with it? You're native owned, you're pro-native, you're anti-racist. Like, these are the things that I would like you to be, for me to be okay with it. Okay, next. A lot of, for the ones who don't know, I studied communications. I did have research in college. I did take some courses about that. And some people like to cite studies to feel more intelligent, like this is facts. And they don't even check the study. They just read the headline and they quote it. So, and it's not some, it's most people. Just because some journalists, some scientists did a study, I'm talking about study, they did this study that everybody, especially, I'm not saying Trump supporters because I don't like to generalize, but they're quoting this study about the Washington Post that 9 of 10 natives do not find the term Redskins offensive. 9 of 10, or I think it was 8 of them. Let me check it. Give me a second. Okay, so here it is. New poll. A poll, not even a study. A poll. Y'all don't even know the difference, child. So new poll finds 9 in 10 Native Americans aren't offended by Redskins name. Okay, 90 blah blah and all the shenanigans. On the second paragraph of this, it says, The survey of 504 people across every state and the district reveals that the minds of Native Americans have remained unchanged in 2004 poll. Okay, they asked for 504 Native Americans, and when you get into that information, they don't clarify which tribe they're from, what age group they're part of, what type of Native American. Because I'm sorry, if we count these white people that we have a grandma and a grandma and a grandma and a grandma that is native, and you're native, your opinion is going to be different than somebody that deals with these things differently. If it's a light-skinned native, it's going to be different than you're a dark-skinned native. I benefit from colorism because I'm light-skinned compared to my other people. So it's like 504, and they're like 9 out of 10. How many natives are in the country? 6 million. How many people are of native are in the whole continent? 70 million. Like, I'm talking about both continents, North America, South America. 70 million. And all these people quoted on Twitter, 9 out of 10, 9 out of 10. And that's why I'm gonna
We have a reaction to the Washington Redskins dropping their name today.
Yeah, it's a good question. You know, I haven't talked to him since the specific announcement's been made. I have talked to him, but not specifically on that. But last week, his tweet made it clear that these teams name their teams out of strength, not weakness. And he talked about the Washington Redskins and Cleveland Indians looking at changing their names. And he says that he believes that the Native American community would be very angry at this. And he does have polling to back him up. There was a Washington Post poll from a few years ago that 90% of Native Americans say they're not offended by the name. It is reflective of a 2004 poll. And the Washington Post notes that many of these Native Americans voiced admiration for the team name, like Barbara Bruce, who said, "I'm proud of being Native American and of the Redskins. I'm not ashamed of that at all. I like that name." Gabrielle Nez, another 29-year-old from the Navajo community, "I really don't mind it. I like it." And there were several other comments like this in the Washington Post.
Okay, so this woman talking on Trump's name is saying 90% of Native Americans, and she's quoting a poll that only had 500 people. 500 out of 6 million speak for all of us. We don't know how they conducted these studies. I'm a reporter, and no matter who you are, there's reported bias. It's almost impossible having no bias. If you want a certain result, you know, it's not illegal to change numbers, and who you ask obviously depends who decided to talk to you. 500 people and you saying 9 out of 10, it's just, in journalism, that's just horrible. Saying 9 out of 10 Americans, new poll says, and you only ask 500 people. It's just dumb. So no, only because 9 out of 10 out of 500 people that who knows were asked, who knows how native they are, who knows. And I get it that some natives might be fine with the name. It's like, you know, for example, me, when people, I don't like people that are non-native calling us Indians. I don't like it. If you're not native, don't call us Indians, because we're not from India. I get it that it's kind of common in the native community. Some Indians call themselves Indians because, you know, the elderly and their parents are used to that because of white people, you know, back then. Now you cannot change what they say. And imagine back then, they don't care if it's offensive. So, you know, they just gotta roll with it and they're used to it. But now it's like, even Native American, a lot of us were like, okay, Native, I get it. Of the Americas, I get it. The two Americas. But then America is named, the Americas were named after a white man. So I'm like, why Native? So I get it. If you're not Native, please refer to us as Indigenous. I feel most of us, that's the term that most people prefer that are Native. Okay, back to that. Of course, some natives will be fine with it, but the ones that are not, are not. And why? I just don't like non-native having us as mascots. Why? We had a genocide. We have bounties against us. We were forced to get married to some white men, white women. No, I don't think white women, white men mostly. We were displaced, especially in Latin America, we are not like, you're obviously native, but you don't know exactly where you were, because in Latin America there was slavery a lot with natives. So it's like, you were not from there, you are from here. They move you from your tribe because they need you, because let's say you're stronger, you're taller, they put you in the mines in a completely different place. We were sold in zoos along with black people in Europe. We were in zoos. So that's where I was like, if you're not native owned, having us as a mascot after we were in your zoos, it's not okay for me. Okay, this video is about me. It's not okay. Not okay. So then what else I wanted to say? So now some people that are native that were against it is like, Native American represented Halan, Redskins name change. She said should have been made a long time ago, and it's true. Next, I want to go into, oh, hold on, the Navajo Reservation did a okay, I'm gonna read the Navajo statement. Well, just the first paragraph. Well, I'm gonna read all of it. So this is the Navajo Nation statement. Okay. And it was released by Jonathan Ness, the president, and Myra Lesser, vice president. I don't want to mispronounce the names, I'm sorry. As I said, I'm not from that nation, from that tribe. So if you're native and you can correct me, I totally appreciate how to pronounce these names. So it goes and say, on July 13, 2020 is a new historic day for all Indigenous peoples around the world, as the NFL Washington-based team officially announced the retirement of the racist and despairing Redskins team name and logo. This change did not come about willingly by the team's owners, but by the mounting pressure and advocacy of Indigenous peoples such as Amanda Blackhorse and many other warriors who fought long and hard for this change. For generations, this team name and logo has misrepresented the true history and events that define the term Redskins. History tells us that the term Redskins derived from bounty hunters, which identify Indigenous people by the color of their skin. Bounties were offered for the murder of Native Americans. Bounty hunters killed Native Americans, referenced as Redskins, and brought to the market the stained blooded scalp in exchange for payment. This is the tragic and disgusting history that the world is not often told. We must continue to work together to correct these issues and to shed light on the historical and current injustices that affect all Indigenous people. One of those remedies is to cease the use of the disparaging terms and logos among all teams and organizations. We must stand united and correcting our storied history. It is our responsibility to ensure that our children and their children have the benefit of historical facts. We strongly encourage the NFL Washington organization to rename their team in such a way that truly honors and respects the first Americans of this country, renaming the team Code Talkers in honor of Navajo Code Talkers and other tribal nations who use their sacred language to help win World War II. Wood set the team on a path to restoring its reputation and correcting the historical misrepresentation of Indigenous peoples. On behalf of the Navajo Nation, we thank and commend all of our Indigenous brothers and sisters who dedicated themselves to a just cause and won. We stand with you as proud Indigenous peoples knowing that together we brought about change, and we will continue to fight for what is right. So you guys, this is the Navajo Nation statement, the official statement, okay? So it's not only 9 out of 10. We already have more than 500 natives that are against it. That means 10 out of 10. So anyways, that's basically what I gotta say. Native people are not okay with it. A lot of them are not okay with it. So why have it? Why have it as mascots of the history? And that's true. Like, just, and listen, white people, generally European people, they have the privilege to go back and back in historical facts. You have facts about 20,000 of years, 40,000 of years, and like, you know, like just come here now, a term that is a slur for us because of what you represent, and just have it as a team, it really diminished the history. And like, we want to cheat to teach our native offspring what was it, how it really was, and just having it as a team name is just like a mockery. Especially when the owner was saying like, we will not change the Redskins, like not years ago. So I'm showing the videos right now. Y'all know his stances, and why they changed, because of people. Now people supporting natives and the money. The sponsors were like not having that. The sponsors want to be, you know, more politically correct, and there's nothing wrong with that. So the only reason these companies suck is money. They were not donating money to natives. They were not supporting natives. They were not advocating for our problems. They were not helping natives in any shape or form, besides having us as a pet, a mascot. So that's why I think the change is good. And yeah, as the Navajo reservation said, I don't want the new name to be related to nativeness, indigenous people whatsoever. Don't name it anything about natives. Just change it like at the, y'all can change the, you know, the white skins and have Taylor Swift on the logo. I don't know. Y'all can have the orange skins and have Donald Trump on the logo. Okay. I even saw on Twitter some people say let's name it the Rednecks. I don't care. Just don't put us in there. Like, you don't support us economically. You don't, you know, how do you say, you don't advocate for us. You're not native owned. Just don't put us in there, like as a whole, because you put in the whole race. And I like really love the statement of the Navajo Nation it's a win for all indigenous people in the world, not just in America. So you have also remind people that there's a lot of native people outside of this country. So just think about that. And if I didn't change your mind, I don't care. You came to the video to know an opinion of a Native American. And if you want to talk about more politics, more news and all that, subscribe to this new channel. And if you want to just, you know, learn how to do this beautiful beat, you subscribe to my main channel, PapiVodka, and follow me all on my social medias. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.